Welcome back to Inspired by Jimmy L, the reboot, where we do short and sweet, quick interviews to inspire you while encouraging myself along the way. Let's see who we have on today. Catch you on the other side. I got a question for you, and it's probably one of the most disliked questions on the face of this planet. Who are you, and what do you do, sir?
I am Albert Shivers. I'm a visual artist and a little bit of a filmmaker.
Okay. Now, why you say a little bit of a filmmaker?
Put movies down a few years ago to concentrate solely on visual art. There was a time I was doing both, and I felt like if I was really going to give it a go in the arts, for the time being at least, I should concentrate on one instead of both and put all 100% of my energy into one. I still love film. I still do short films and editing here and there. I've been able to incorporate it into
Okay.
progress videos for my artwork. So it's still in there. It's still doing its thing. But
Dabbling with it.
right.
So why you? Why do you feel the need to create art in the manner that you're creating?
Well, it fills something in me since I was a little kid. Um, I think I was a loner as a kid, and I think we all probably have those moments.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in filling that time, I was just attracted to art. And looking back, I could see what parts of me and that I was more than I even thought of.
Okay.
I would stare endlessly at my mother's record collection, looking at the cover art. Anything from I was just thinking the other day of like Electrolyte Orchestra to Jethro Tull to George Clinton. I would stare at these album covers. I didn't know why, but
Mm-hmm.
they were so interesting to me. And then I would go and try to either draw them or draw other things. So it was always something that made me feel like I wasn't as alone, being a loner as a little kid.
Oh,
And it also like just gave me something to do that I really enjoyed. And it was progress that you were watching happen, even now. When I start a piece to the end of it, watching the progress of it is so interesting to me. And it was then, I didn't have the words to put to it then, but now looking back, so it does. And even like I said today, it definitely fills something in me that
nice.
is a good kind of addiction.
Yeah.
I am addicted to the feeling, but it's not hurting me. It's not hurting anybody else. So I've just stuck with it, and now that this is what I do.
So okay. So that okay. I've got to know because it seems so scary to me because obviously this is personal. This is you. This is you on in art in illustration.
Mm-hmm.
Why share that with the world?
So I'm not a parent. I know parents. I don't know totally the relationship between a father and a son or a mother and a daughter or vice
Gotcha.
versa, but it does feel like as close as you can come without being a parent of putting a child out into the world. I've been at this a while and it's still somewhat anxiety producing when a new show is coming up and the art has to go out there because I know what the art is, I know what it means, I know how I feel about that particular piece of art, but you never know
What it's gonna.
what the public is going to think of it
Mhm,
and what they're
mhm.
going to interpret. And that could go either way. Sometimes I love hearing what people have to say about a piece of art that I didn't think of. I had a show last night and it happened. Somebody pointed something out and asked me if this specific thing was something, and I
Mhm.
viewed it as something different. And when they said that to me, I looked at my own work that I had spent hours on from a whole different perspective. So that's one reason. And another reason is after a while, you do feel like sharing it. You know, um, I could sit here and be a hermit
Yeah.
and hoard all my work.
Mhm.
And artists of fame and of no fame have done that,
Yeah.
in their lives. but there is something nice about putting it out there, as scary as it is, when people like it. Because when people like it, I feel like they are liking a part of me, because it is a part of me.
And it is. It is.
And it is it's a form of like it's a very high compliment, because I feel like it's raw artist when it's put out there. That's who they are. And
So,
it means a lot.
so now you've said this is like one of your children.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a favorite?
I have a lot of favorites. I think my favorites
Like,
are
and I know it's normally a tough question. Most artists hate to answer that question, but
no,
somehow,
I have a clear answer for that one, which is
okay,
my favorite paintings or illustrations are the ones that, when I dreamt them up in my head, have either been what I've dreamt up, because a lot of times the process from mind to canvas, a lot happens in there,
yes, yes,
and you don't always nail it, at least in my experience. So
understood.
when I could nail it, that makes me very happy. Or when it improves along that journey of blank to done. When something improves and I think this is better than I even imagined it being,
Hmm.
it becomes a favorite. Or what change I may have gone through in the
I can
process
respect
of
that.
painting it, that also could make a favorite. A lot of it is what's going on around me while that piece is going on can impact how I feel about it too. If it's a good memory attached to it. I had a bad case of COVID back in 2021, and I was doing collage at that point.
Okay.
That collage that I created, I like it. I feel like it's very good, but it means all the more to me because of what I was going through at the time I made it.
I can see that. I
And
can definitely.
that's a favorite of mine too, because I look at it and it just brings me back there.
So how do you deal with that anxiety? Because I think it's something that any artist, anyone that is creative, experience, especially if you're creating and then wanting to put it out there to the world. Like, what do you do to kind of silence that anxiety or cope with that anxiety? Like, how does that process work for you?
I've just gotten better at accepting it. It has, like, for me, it doesn't go away before a show, whether it's one piece or 12 pieces in a show, it's the same. And I've just mentally trained myself to say, it is what it is. I know this piece is good enough to be here.
Mm.
Um, and it's people are gonna have their opinions. And that didn't I've been at this a while, that didn't come right away.
Yeah, I was
It
gonna,
was
you know that was coming up.
a
That was
lot of
coming up.
mental training to get myself to not to just understand that what I'm doing, and anybody in the arts, it's subjective.
Yeah.
And people are gonna like it and they're gonna not like it for reasons that are not gonna make sense to the artist. And you just have to roll with it and accept folks' opinions. And that was not easy to come by. Now I could sit here and make it sound easy, but it was uphill.
So, okay. All right then. So, speaking of that, and knowing that everyone has an opinion, dealing with you and authenticity. Let me ask about that piece and how that shows up within your art. Like, do you have to block out, and I don't want to say copying someone else's work, but taking too much inspiration from someone else's work? Do you have to fight the battle to do that, to make sure that your authentic self is on this page?
I think so. And I think as I've gone, and other artists can attest to this, you find your path.
Mm-hmm.
You're always drawing inspiration from other sources. I'll pull inspiration as much from other artists as I do from film, or music can
Love it.
hit me in such a way where it'll open up a pathway of an idea,
Mhm.
and I'll run down that road. But there are times when I've had to, even someone else noticed it, and I had to take notice.
What do you mean?
So when I was doing a show once and somebody had said to me, "Oh, your work, you're very influenced by so and so," and I hadn't told them that. They
Gotcha.
knew it. So I didn't take offense to it, but I
Hmm.
gave the mental note and said, "Okay, I'm leaning hard on this artist." The artist at the time that they were referencing was Robert Crumb. And they said, "Ah, we can tell you like him." And I did. And it was showing up. So with that, I didn't want to just like stop looking at his artwork altogether, but it gave me a push, and you need pushes, whether they're from people you know or strangers sometimes, to say, okay, maybe I'm pulling a little bit too much or copying a little too much. Let me try to find a style. What can I take and put in the basket from this artist, but not all of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you still got to have you in there.
Right. And continue to add other things to it. And that's just a process over time. Most of the things I found in art have been, to quote Bob Ross, have been happy accidents. And then you
So
hit on something and you go, wow, oh, this is cool. Okay, I'm going to keep working this and see where it ends up.
love that. So some of the best inspiration I think comes to from just happening. When you're in the zone or when you're in just in that particular space, it just happens.
Yeah.
So that actually brings me to my next question for you.
Okay.
The life that you are currently living. Obviously, people can see your work and point out other artists' inspirations in your work. Obviously, you love and have a passion for what you do. But is this something that you prayed for? Is it something that you feel that you manifested? It's on your vision board, or did all of this just kind of just happen for you?
Um, I think this will answer what you're asking,
Okay.
which is that at many times in my life, art has, when I haven't been thinking of it, it has found me
Mm.
and has kind of called me back to it. I went to a middle school for art, and the teacher was so tough on us that I quit. I threw down my pencils and didn't want to do it anymore. Went all through college without doing any art, and was going to be a history major, and it just didn't work. It wasn't filling me up,
Hmm.
and I ended up finding my way back to it. And that has replayed itself over and over. And now I don't know what I do if I wasn't doing art.
Mm.
Um, my goal or vision is to just keep experimenting, keep keep myself in love with it, and that's a balance between doing what you want to do with art
Yeah.
and doing what you think will be successful out there. For me personally, if I've tried to pander to an audience or put things in galleries that I know are going to sell, I end up
Hmm.
not being as happy. And then that shows up in the work, which isn't as good. I'm not as excited about it as I'm working on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is a balance. It is
So
a balance.
you, do you feel that you were running from art from after you put the pencil down before picking it
Mhm.
back up? Were you running from it during that period of time?
I just dropped it,
Hmm.
and just
But you said it was consistently showing back up. It was consistently finding you.
yeah. So fast forward, like from me dropping the pencil, fast forward 4 years, um, a lot of things in life had changed,
Hmm.
and that same thing, whatever was filling me as a kid, needed to happen again later. And when I started back up again, um, everything just fell into place. I had been hanging with a friend who was also an artist, and in a room of crowded people, like friendship gatherings and things, he would be in the corner drawing. And I would go over to him and look at what he was doing, and what he was doing was cool to me. And then the next night, I was there, I was in the corner with him, and we're both drawing. And everybody's partying and drinking and doing their thing, and we're in the corner and develop this friendship. So it's people too that have influenced me a lot. And
I
yeah, there's
freaking
a
love
nice
it.
short list of people who definitely had a lot to do with my path.
I will say that resonates with me so much. And I love that you responded with that. And I'm going to have some more questions for you in just a second. But sadly, we're running a little bit low on time.
Okay,
I got one more question I want to ask you. But before I
sure.
ask that last question, how can people get a hold of you if they want to continue to be inspired by you?
So you could find me on Instagram at Albert Shivers. My name, just as it's spelled, just as it sounds. Facebook, Albert Shivers as well. And the website is www.albertshivers.com. And the same goes for YouTube, where I have videos and progress videos. It's all Albert Shivers. So you can find everything you want just by putting in my name.
I love, first off, I love that. I need to do that. Okay, so my final question for you, I love positivity, I love inspiration. What has inspired you today?
Today, what honestly has inspired me is it's where I'm at right now. It has started to snow,
Okay,
and that got me up this morning in a little bit more of a positive mood.
the
And
snow,
the snow.
the snow.
So I'm in a very wooded area, and it's very, very gray when there's no snow on the ground up here in the woods. I recently
Okay.
moved. I'm in a small spot, very, very very rural.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of snow on a cloudy day was just a little
Just
bit
what
more inspiration for me to get up and drink my coffee and jump into the next piece.
I love that. That is a perfect place to end. Albert, I thank you so very much for doing this and having this conversation with me. And I cannot wait to see a little bit more of your illustration. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate your time, and I had a lot of fun doing this.
All right, everybody else, we will see you guys on the next one.